We're good to go? So tell
Yes.
us when we're ready. We can start now, or did you already started? Okay. Kelly, welcome to our first in-person episode.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really glad that we're here in person, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful segue into the conversation that we're going to have today about the community that you have built for founders. But before we do that, I wanted to start off with the spiritual aspect of who you are and how
Yeah.
you're bringing that into your everyday. So let's start with your upbringing. Kabbalah was a big part of who you were and how
Yeah.
you grew up. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I grew up, my parents studied this ancient wisdom called Kabbalah, which is a mysticism that decodes the Old Testament. So essentially the teachings teach us that the lessons in the Bible, they're not meant to be taken as just literal stories, although they have deep meaning and we can learn so much from the stories themselves, but it's more about what is behind them. What is the codes behind what the lessons are trying to teach us? And it's not just an ancient mysticism that we learn because it happened thousands of years ago. It's all relevant to what we go through today. So it talks about the journey of the human soul, the deep questions that we struggle to answer ourselves without that support of why are we here? What is our purpose here? What is our mission? What are we supposed to be doing? And what is our role compared to the collective mission that the world has? And so it goes into these deep questions. It helps us understand. And for me personally, I like to blend spirituality and business together because I think that the two are very like you can't have one without the other. We need to be able to integrate both in a way that helps us move forward because without some sort of foundation in spirituality, I think it's really hard to be successful in business.
Yeah.
And you can do it, but there will be a lot of chaos. There will be a lot of fears coming up, a lot of pain. And so however that resonates with different people, for me, that was my upbringing in Kabbalah. But that I think that's really fundamental to the entrepreneurship journey to have some sort of spiritual foundation.
And I love what you're saying, and that definitely resonates with me. Did you always resonate with it, or did you have questions? Did you push back when you were younger, when your parents were first introducing all of this to you?
Yeah, I definitely was not always the way that I am today. My upbringing, I completely rebelled against any form of spirituality. So I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I went to a normal middle school, public school, high school, and I was not interested in personal development at all. I was focused on my friends, partying,
Sure.
drinking,
As
having
we
fun.
all are when we're young. Yes.
And that was my focus. And so
Yeah.
when my parents would, tell me it's for your soul,
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. It wasn't until I was in university and having challenges of my own. I feel like I kind of lived up my party stage young. So I was able to grow up relatively quickly. And I was in a really draining environment, I would say, when I was in university. I was studying something I was not passionate about. I was in communications, which at the time it was just teaching about the history and the printing press and like things that I just felt were not really valuable to me for my future. And I was really struggling in school. I was in a toxic relationship at the time with a partner who was verbally abusive, and it was not a fun situation to be in.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about myself during that time. I ended up losing all of my friends at the time. And I was in such a dark space in my life that I said to myself, I just need a radical shift. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, who I am. I didn't know any of these things, but I did have this thought process in the back of my mind. My parents studied this thing called Kabbalah. I wonder if that would help me.
That's so beautiful.
And so I started learning it on my own, aside from what my parents would tell me, because I think it's normal for kids to rebel against what their parents tell them because that's just how we are.
Yeah.
And I'm an Aquarius, so I don't know if you know about astrology, but we're rebellious by nature. And so I was just like, I need to find this for myself. What does this mean to me rather than just what my parents were telling me that it is? So I started studying. I actually booked a flight to go to Los Angeles because there's a big Kabbalah center down there.
That's exactly where I heard about Kabbalah first, from LA.
Yeah, they have a big center there at the time. David Guillaume was teaching there.
Yes.
And I would go to all of their seminars there. And I was so passionate about what I was learning that I ended up starting my own YouTube channel, which was
Yeah.
under the name Rahoza, which is
Mhm.
Hazohar backwards,
Mhm.
which is the name of the book of Kabbalah, the ancient text. And so that was the name that I went under to teach. I was just like, I need to share this. Like it was inside of me,
Yes.
and I was feeling so passionate about how much it changed my life from being in this depressed state to all of a sudden now I understand why these things have happened to me. I
Yes.
understand that there's a bigger purpose behind all the challenges
Yeah.
that I was going through in my personal life, and that this is all a part of a bigger plan that I just couldn't see while I was in the midst of it. And so I was on YouTube for 5 years. I started a coaching business where I supported other women with sharing of the Kabbalistic teachings and helping them integrate that with business. And from there, I built a coaching marketplace app over the last 2 years where we connect coaches and clients on demand. And
Yeah.
that's called Well Nuality.
So now Kabbalah is part of the everyday. And so
Yeah.
how is it showing up in your everyday practices?
Mm,
What is it that you do
mhm.
that brings forward that Kabbalah practice?
Well, one core fundamental teaching that I always stand by, and it's in my mind every day, is to have certainty.
Mm.
Because in life, whether you're in business, whether you're parenting, like there's so many moments in our lives that test us of why is this thing happening in my life? And we try to fight it. We try to control the external world.
Yes.
And we're never going to get anywhere by trying to always control the external and what people say, what other people do, what's going to happen in my future with my business. Should I be so rigid and create this specific plan? And we want to have control because as humans, it's our natural tendency. We need to cling on to some form of control to feel secure. But by letting go of that, it's one of the hardest things to do. And it's something I practice daily
Mhm.
on. I still have a strong desire for where I want to go. I have a vision, like this is my plan. But at the same exact time, 100% letting go of that plan and saying, I have certainty
I
that
love
no
that.
matter what happens, it's good. I don't
Yes.
know why it's good. I don't know why
Yeah.
it's happening. I don't know what the purpose is, what it's trying to teach me,
Yes.
but I know that there's something, and I've just seen it play out so many times in my life where the darkest moments I've ever been in ended up bringing out the most light in my business, in my relationships, so many relationship challenges that I've had to go through before meeting the right person.
Yes.
And then when I met the right person, I was like, okay, this is why I had to go through all of these, I call them
Yes.
initiations, because they're forming you into the person that you need to be to expand your vessel, as Kabbalah would say, which
Yeah.
is like our capacity to receive more and attract more of what we do want into our lives. But the breaking of that vessel is painful. It's hard. It's all the challenges come to you. As soon as you say, God, I want more love in my life, you're going to be tested with the opposite of that to see, are you going to show up in love?
Mm.
If you say, God, I want more patience or I want more fulfillment, then you're just going to get the test that challenges that exact thing that
Interesting.
you are asking for. So it's not like you ask God, God, please give me
Yeah.
patience and you get patience. You're
Yeah.
going to be tested. Are you going to be patient in these moments? That's what we're here for. We're here to learn, we're here to grow.
Yeah.
This is Earth school,
Yeah.
as a lot of people say, and we just do the best we can.
Yeah, I love everything that you're saying, and that's exactly what drew me to Kabbalah.
Mm,
As I was going through my own sort of transformation and trying to make sense of what was happening in my life and why I had this need or whispers in me to do something different.
mm.
But I wanted to bring it back to Kabbalah. Are they only teachings or is it a religion?
It's not a religion. It is an ancient spiritual teaching. So
Yeah,
it's wisdom that we can study. The main text is called the Zohar. It's
yeah,
very intense. It's very hard to understand,
yes,
but the teachers do a really great job of breaking them down to a practical level because ultimately what we're concerned about is how can these teachings benefit our lives? And the more you study, the deeper you can go and the more you can understand these deeper concepts. But it's like how Kabbalah teaches, you need the vessel for it. So you can't just go from not knowing any Kabbalah to studying the deepest level of Kabbalah
yeah,
because we're just not ready to receive that amount of light. In the teachings of Kabbalah, we learn about how we have a certain level of capacity. So let's say For those who are listening, I have a water cup
Yeah.
in front of me. So this cup can only contain a certain amount of water. So it doesn't matter if the water is good, the water is light, the creator's always there, the creator's always shining. But if we don't have the vessel to hold and contain the
Mm,
amount of light that's being given to us, it's going to overflow.
sure.
So it's the same thing when we're studying spirituality or when we want to even manifest something in our lives. We only have a certain amount of capacity to be able to understand what we're learning. If we're getting light and wisdom and blessings, but we don't have the vessel to hold it, then that's going to create overflow. It's going to create suffering and pain. And as the teachers explain, it's actually not darkness that causes us so much pain. It's actually an excess of light because there's too much light that we can't handle, that it overflows and we don't know how to handle it. So you'll see a lot of times people who have achieved so much success in life, but yet they feel so empty.
Yes, so many people.
Yeah, because it's not just about the physical and receiving things. We also need to expand our capacity spiritually as well, because that is the only thing that's really going to fill our cup is the light or the creator, but however you want to express that force.
I remember when you and I initially connected and had a conversation, you mentioned something about, if I can get this right, what your dad taught you about being sort of halfway in this sort of material world and
Yeah.
halfway in the spiritual world. Tell us
Yeah.
more about that.
So my parents always taught me live your life one foot in the physical,
Yeah,
do what you need to do, be practical, achieve what you need to so that you can move up in this physical
yeah,
experience that you're in.
yeah,
Also, always have one foot in the spiritual, meaning know where you come from, know the truth, know that this is at the end of the day, it's an illusion.
yeah,
We still need to play into the illusion. We're not
yeah,
meant to be living in a mountain and meditating all day in
yeah.
La La Land.
That would be nice.
That would be great,
Yeah.
but that's not
Yes, the
what we're meant
reality.
for.
Yes.
Yeah, we're meant to have this human experience.
Yeah.
And we're very blessed to even be having this conversation to bring spirituality into the
Yeah.
conversation because there's so many people walking around the world with zero
Yeah.
sense of consciousness and they're just the effect of their life and life is happening to them rather than saying, I actually do have control over co creating this experience with
Mhm.
the creator.
And how does Kabbalah show up in leadership?
I want to go back to that certainty piece
Mm,
because as a leader, you need to be the one to go first, which is very uncomfortable.
yes.
It's very
You're
scary. It's
leading the
like
way. Yeah.
you're jumping into this very vulnerable space of people are now depending on me to
Yes.
be able to direct them. And if I'm not sure about myself
Yeah.
and I'm not sure about like what I want to create, then it's going to be a very wishy washy outcome in
Yes.
business or
Yeah.
in leadership roles. And so I think having certainty as a leader is extremely important. Even just making a decision doesn't have to be the right decision. Something my dad also told me growing up is it's the right decision if it's the decision you made.
I love that.
So like I remember I was taking my dog to a vet and
Stop questioning yourself. You made a decision, just stick with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And I was taking my dog to the vet and when she was a puppy and I was like so in love with her and she was getting her spayed and I was so nervous that the vet wasn't the right vet for her. I started seeing bad reviews on this vet and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like it's today. What do I do?" And my dad said to me, "It's the right vet." I'm like, "How do you know that? How can you say that with such
Yes.
certainty?"
Yeah.
He's like, "It's the right vet."
Because you made the decision.
He's
Yeah.
like, because it's the vet you chose,
Yeah.
it's the right vet. Just have trust in that, have certainty in
I
that,
love,
and trust in the creator ultimately or the universe that there is this force that is higher than ourselves that
yes.
is directing things. And
Yeah.
like I said, we try to control, but we
Yes.
have to let go of that plan because
Yeah.
otherwise we're fighting with the biggest force in the universe that is
Yes.
way beyond what we can ever
I
see.
love that. And I've been seeing a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts on the stopping of our generation wanting to plan too much. I have a plan, and whatever is
Yeah.
coming my way, I'm just going to ignore it because I have a plan.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if you just didn't ignore
Yeah.
what the universe, the creators, is showing you, if you
Yeah.
actually explored it a little bit more, you might end up in your ultimate destination sooner.
Yeah. And it's a fine line, I find too,
Yeah,
because on one hand, we want to like, stay open, anything could happen
yeah,
unexpected. But then there's also like a dangerous side to that, like the
yeah.
opposite extreme, which is we set plans for ourselves. We have like this discipline that I'm going to follow through on
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
And then some shiny object comes in and we're like, oh, I'm just going to go over here.
Yeah.
And so I think having discernment
Yeah.
on when am I supposed to let go and when am I supposed to stay the course is very
Yeah.
important as a leader as well.
And then it comes down to trusting yourself.
And
Yeah.
I think also if we set out a plan for ourselves, let me try to think of an example. Like, let's say Women Who Network. We built this business, Women Who Network, and I have a vision of where I see it going. Let's
Yeah.
say my vision is to have weekly events, and I
Yeah.
like commit to that. And we
Yeah.
have an app, and I commit to the app and the weekly events. And then someone comes up to me and has an opportunity on a different venture and asks me to go full time in this venture, but I already committed to go all in
Yeah.
on my business. And so now I'm faced with a decision. Do I stick to my word or do I go into this new venture, which is actually really exciting me? And it actually might be, we start having all these thoughts like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like this is the thing.
Yes.
This is the opportunity that's going to get me to where I need to
Yeah.
go. And I think if we made the decision to stick to Women Who Network in and do what I committed to here and I start getting distracted outside of that, I don't necessarily think that's the best thing to do. I think that it's better to follow where were you when you made the original decision? Are you going to this new decision because the old decision is like not looking sexy anymore and we're feeling like
Yes.
we need to change and
Yeah.
escape our situation? Or is it that we genuinely feel that this chapter is ready to be closed or put aside? Is it sabotage or is it truly something that we're being called towards? And I actually had to make this decision recently with a previous business, Well Nuality. So this is like a coaching mindset, a mindset coaching marketplace app that connects coaches and clients. So I built the full infrastructure for 2 years with my partner Elijah, and the app is ready. It has like a full functioning video sessions, audio sessions. You can book coaches. It's a marketplace. It's a beautiful app and
Yeah.
the interface is awesome. And right around the time that we were about to launch Well Nuality, I started Women Who Network. So I was faced with the decision. Do I do both? Do I have space to do both? Do I have to let go of Well Nuality? Do I have to, like, I want to now go in this direction of Women Who Network because I feel like this is my calling.
So what did you do? Did you get any signs from the universe for this?
Yeah.
Yes?
And
Okay.
that was actually a big challenge for me, which is why I don't think there's like black and white answers.
Yeah.
I think it's we need to truly like follow our path and
Yeah.
what we're being guided to do, because it was very hard for me to say maybe all the work that I was doing for Well Nuality was meant to lead me
Yes.
here
Yes.
to Women Who Network, to have this bigger
Yeah.
impact. And maybe I don't have to say goodbye to it forever. Maybe there's a way I can connect them
Yes.
somehow. Maybe the way I was thinking about it needs to change, not necessarily what I was doing, but how I'm thinking of the app
Yeah.
is not the same as how I
Yeah.
originally intended. And back to your point on how, as founders, so many of us try to plan so rigidly,
Yeah.
we can get so caught up in our plan. And I very much fell victim to this
Yeah.
over the past few years because I was building for essentially no one. I was like, I believe this platform should exist,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the feedback yet to know that 100% this is what people are
Yes.
looking for.
Yeah.
And so now I'm doing that market research and now I'm meeting so many incredible women
Yeah.
that I'm able to get that feedback from, like, is this actually something that you want? And I'm learning that the app that I originally intended is now actually transforming into something very different
Mm.
because now I know what people are looking for and I'm
Right.
able to like collect that data and be present and once again let go of
Yeah.
my plan and trust that this was where everything was leading me to, even though I didn't see it at the time.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. What opportunities did you see with the market research that you did, the
Mhm.
data that you collected that you're trying to address with this community that you have built?
Well, first of all, I built Women Who Network because I felt like I needed a community.
Yeah.
Like I spent 6 years behind the screen on YouTube, doing my coaching
Yeah.
business on Zoom calls during COVID. And then I built an app also behind the scenes at coffee shops. And I felt like I was lacking that in-person one-to-one connection that I used to. And growing up, I've always been so social and
Yeah.
love to speak in front of people. And I lost this side of me because of all the factors that are happening in the world right now. And so I didn't even know what was out there.
Sometimes that's the best way because it can become overwhelming when you have too
Exactly.
much
Yeah.
information. Analysis paralysis, they call
Yeah.
it.
So we
Yeah.
just move and don't think. Like
Yeah.
that's like my motto now. I'm like, don't
Me
even,
too.
yeah.
Me too.
Because if the more we think about it, we
Oh
talk
my
ourselves
gosh.
out of it,
Yes.
sabotage our own growth because
Yeah.
we're like so caught up in what everyone else is doing rather
Yes.
than our path. And
Yes.
so I built it from my need. I had a co-working space at the time that I was renting out
Yeah.
and I could host events there. So I'm like, why not just put it on Eventbrite on Instagram, see how it goes. And so I started the first Women Who Network event. It was September 18th, 2025. And 30 women showed up to that
That
event. Again, I had zero expectation. I was just like, I just feel like I need a community of like minded entrepreneurial women who are
yes.
building something and who are also feeling this need to want to connect. And it's deeper than just networking on a surface level, because
Mhm.
also women, the way we connect is different. We go
Yes.
deeper. We like to really not just stay on the surface and here's my business card. Hi, bye. We want to genuinely get to know each other. How can I support you? Not just how can I take from you or what can I receive from this session. And so after that first event, I was instantly in love. I
Yeah.
said, this is exactly what I was needing and craving is this. We had like a circle at that event where everyone went around and shared their name, what they do, a vulnerability that something that's been coming up for them recently in their business. And we
Mhm.
kind of like workshopped it with each other, which was unexpected. I didn't expect that to be the outcome of it, but it made me realize how much spaces like this are continuously needed.
Yes.
And so that also led us to build an app for it because we noticed that even at these big events, we recently had an event with 120 women.
That's
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful. And at the
Yes.
same time, not everyone could connect with everyone
Well,
there.
that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're limited because there's, presentations and there's
Yeah.
breaks, but you're limited in how many interactions you could have.
Yes,
Mm.
exactly. And so we decided to build an app that could connect everyone after the events are over. And it creates like a networking opportunity within the city of Toronto for women entrepreneurs to connect with each other, learn. You can like search what people do,
Yeah.
find people to collaborate with, and just create a beautiful ecosystem in the digital space as well as the in person space. Because I feel that we need both. We're not just all digital and we're not all physical. I think combining the two as well
Yeah.
is very important in this day and age.
So you launched in September. You've had a few months behind you. What do you think differentiate your community from others?
For starters, I think me bringing my that spiritual edge into
Yes.
it is a little bit of a differentiator because of the way I was raised and the way I think. I tend to attract women who are on that same wavelength of understanding
Mhm.
that there's something bigger than ourselves and we're all in this game of life together, no matter your background, no matter your race,
Yeah.
anything. We, everyone faces similar challenges and challenges that we could help each other see with
Yeah.
our unique lenses that
Yeah.
may be another person's blind spot. And so I think bringing in that element of it's deeper than just the surface level. There is ultimately it's also everything's connected. It's not just business, it's our personal health and our life and our
Yes.
relationships. Like everything is correlated.
Yeah.
And so I think bringing in this holistic approach of addressing everything that
Mhm.
comes with being an entrepreneur is very important. I think providing the right resources for entrepreneurs is very important at all different stages. And so we target different stages of entrepreneurship from early stage to established
Mhm.
and scaling. And we also have that app component as well, which connects people on a deeper level beyond events and creates opportunities that last a lifetime
Yeah.
because events are maybe one time you go once or twice a month or a few times a month, but it shouldn't ever end at just the event
Right.
because relationships need to be nurtured. They
Yeah.
need to be grown. They need to be sustained just the way a personal partnership relationship
Yeah.
needs to be grown. It doesn't just happen in a day.
Yeah.
It takes time, it takes repetition, working together over time to get to know each other and really create opportunities that can be very successful down the line in whether it's a week, a month, a year. It's like
Yeah.
you build this network and as they say, your network is your net worth.
And what are some of the patterns that you're noticing about female founders in the early stages of building their business versus female founders that are more established?
We attract a range of different stages. We're actually creating something soon specifically for early stage entrepreneurs
Yeah.
so that we could help them get their foot off the ground. Because a lot of people actually come to our events saying, I want to start a business, but I don't know what
Yes.
exactly that looks like. So I'm here to learn from the other women. And so a lot of people come just like open to learn, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who come and they are already established and they just understand the value of networking with all different stages of women and
Yeah.
how that can add value to their lives or their business in some way.
One of the things that I've noticed is this piece around confidence,
Oh,
and it takes years and support from others to build and be comfortable in your skin. And even the cost of, of how we do our business and the
yeah.
pricing. We start off, I don't know, am I worth this much?
Definitely. And
Yeah.
even from my own experience over the
Yeah.
past 6 years, like I've seen those stages all play out from
Yeah.
questioning your worth and your confidence. Like nobody walks into something they've never done before feeling 100%
Yes.
confident.
Yeah.
You walk in unsure. You don't know how much to charge. You don't know what exists out there even. And so that's very scary for a lot of people to even jump into these events, not knowing what to expect or what's on the other side. So I definitely commend everyone in early stages for pushing themselves outside their comfort zone. And I think it gets easier, but the challenges don't necessarily get easier as you evolve into later
Yes.
stages. It's just you become more equipped to handle them
Yeah.
and to you build the vessel as we were talking about.
Yes.
You start expanding your capacity to receive more. When you're starting out in business, you likely feel less worthy of
Yeah.
charging higher rates. And I think that's very fair
Yeah.
because you're just starting
Yeah.
and you haven't yet built the vessel to receive and understand the value that you also provide. Once someone understands how valuable what they provide is, then that increases their self confidence. They can grow it, they hear feedback, they're able to build more momentum on that. And then their vessel expands to be able to attract more. So it's not like in one day we can go from 0 to 100
Yeah.
and attract what we are envisioning. It takes time and it takes growth and perseverance and certainty in staying the course, even though every single day there's going to be something else that comes up to test us. It's just a part of it. And I think thinking that entrepreneurship is going to be an easy journey or it's something that we're like doesn't have a lot of challenges, it's you're going to learn really quickly that that's
Yeah.
not the case. And so I think going into it with the mindset of it is going to be hard,
Yeah.
actually. There's going to be a lot of challenges. And instead of being afraid of those challenges, go towards those challenges because that is where the growth lies. It's after I push through the biggest things that I'm afraid of, then I will start to see the rewards reap. And it may not be immediately, it most likely won't be immediate.
Yeah.
It takes that certainty through constantly being rejected, constantly doing something that doesn't work or trying something and people don't have the best response to it. Like there's so many different scenarios that might play out before the big thing happens that changes the trajectory of your business.
Yes. And so some of that learning is happening at these events, speaking engagements. Do you also offer one on one coaching or mentoring to the community?
I don't currently offer one-on-one coaching to
Yeah.
the public. Sometimes people will ask me and then it's on a like a
As
specific
requested. Yeah.
requested basis. But right now we have a Women Who Network app. So that is the primary area for any entrepreneur in Toronto who wants a community
Mhm.
to get involved in. And we have weekly events and they're discounted or free on the app.
So talk to us about these weekly events.
Mm.
So what does it look like?
Yes. So every week we have different industry professionals from different industries come in and speak about their topic of expertise.
Got it.
So one week it might be on social media marketing. One week we may bring in a financial advisor and they facilitate these workshops where we always include as a part of like our value system at Women Who Network, we always include a networking component to these events
Right.
because it's not just about receiving information, it's about applying it and also then
Yes.
creating connections so you can walk away
Yeah.
with more than just information, but actual tangible results and also connections that can last a lifetime. And so we do these events weekly. Every month we host bigger events. So those are like 100 plus women and those are bigger flagship events. And these are facilitated likely with multiple different speakers or facilitators and gift bags. And it's a whole experience.
What is your end goal with this community that you have
Mm.
created?
So it keeps evolving every day.
Yes.
Because we are so new. It's only
Yeah.
been about 5 months now, but we definitely plan to start for early stage entrepreneurs, a business incubator.
That would be lovely.
And this is the first time I'm actually saying that out
Yeah,
loud.
there you
So
go.
you guys are the first to hear it. But we want to start an early stage business incubator for the people who are just entering into the business
Yes.
space. So all the way from the legality of starting a business, the
Yes.
financials, the
Yeah.
accounting, all the boring things, we make them fun. We do it in groups.
Yeah.
We are going to bring in industry leading professionals from big brands
Yeah.
to facilitate the sessions and teach about different industry specific things when it comes to building different types of businesses, whether it's a service based business, product based business,
Yeah.
the whole range. And so that is the vision for the early stage entrepreneurs. We plan to continue growing within Toronto first. So we're starting locally. We want to make sure that everyone in Toronto who's an entrepreneur knows about Women Who Network so that they don't feel as alone in their journey of building their business and they have a community to go to. Digitally and in person, there's always something going on. We also have co-working days. We also have content days where we come together, we film content, we support each other with content, we do masterminds, we do photo shoots. So we have a range of different types of experiences. And in the future, we plan to expand to other cities across Canada as well and potentially across North America.
That makes so much sense. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a need in every city. So, talk to us about the difference between a mastermind and an event. Are they similar and how are they different?
So they're different in the sense that the masterminds, we keep them much more intimate.
Got it.
So it might be a group of like 10 to 20 maximum, and everyone goes around and shares what they do in a more intimate setting.
Yeah.
And we go back and forth. So we actually just had our first mastermind 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like a mastermind and photo shoot combination. And everyone went around sharing the bottlenecks or the challenges that they're facing in their business. And everyone contributed in a way to help that person understand what their blind spots might be. So
Yeah.
like master of the minds, putting our minds
Yes.
together
Yeah.
to be able to see what one person, or maybe even like someone's feeling unconfident about this next step. Like
Yeah.
you will leave that session with clarity from within, because
Yeah.
ultimately the decisions have to come from within ourselves,
Yeah.
but with the support of each other that we can point out these different lenses that we may not be seeing because it's our own business. We're in the muck
Yeah.
of it every day. We may not see that outside perspective. And so I found those are really, really helpful. And we've seen a ton of breakthrough in those because they are more and controlled and really go deep.
And when you think about your own journey and where you started with the other businesses to creating this community, what growth have you seen in yourself?
I started YouTube when I was 20 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 26 right now.
Yeah.
I'm still young, but I see myself then as like such a total baby.
Yes.
I'm just starting to learn everything from scratch. And so I look back on those videos and it's like honestly really cute to me because it's like she really tried. Like she's trying so hard. And like
I know. But
there's-
imagine if you haven't changed.
Yeah.
Like you haven't changed. So I love those pictures and videos that make you a bit cringy.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I'm cringing because I have grown. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah. And like I don't agree with like probably like 80% of the content that I put on YouTube.
Yeah.
I've changed so much in my
Yes.
personal beliefs
Mhm.
about all of these spiritual teachings. Like I was sharing it maybe from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Actually, a reason I took a break from YouTube is because I said I want to stop just making content on spirituality and actually go live my life and like
Yeah.
practice everything that I'm preaching.
Yes.
Because I was sort of feeling like I'm teaching all these things, but I'm not really living my life to the fullest because
Yes.
everything I'm doing is behind a screen. And it's like, how can I really be like
Yeah.
tested
Yeah.
from behind the comfort of my own like comfort zone? And so that's when I took a break from YouTube. I built 2 businesses since then, Well Nuality and now Women Who Network.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in my life and embodying the teachings that I have been learning over the past 2-3 years. And then I said, when I'm ready to, when I have the experiences and the wisdom that I now am not just like talking about, I'm actually living in the experience, then I'm going to come back to YouTube, to podcasting when the time is right
Yeah.
and share the true journey and what I'm learning. And I think what I didn't love, although everything's perfect the way it is, but like just looking back of how I did things before is I felt like I was coming at a very like teachy energy of like, this is why, like, this is exactly what
Yeah.
you need to do to
Yes.
change your state
Yes.
and be aligned.
Yeah.
And now it's like, this is my journey with that.
Mhm.
This is how I've personally overcome that. And I think that those personal stories land so much
Yes.
deeper than just telling someone this is how to do something, more like this is how I have actually walked myself through these lessons and not just talk about these lessons, but actually am living them so that I can speak on them. That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Those stories are so relatable. That's what makes a difference. That's what makes you human. And people appreciate that. People very much appreciate that. Anything else that you wanted to touch on that we haven't talked about?
I think just for entrepreneurs that are out there and on their journey and may feel like alone in this journey of constantly feeling like there are challenges coming up
Yeah.
and not knowing how to navigate them, to know that you're not alone.
Yes.
And challenges don't mean you're on the wrong track. They mean that you're actually doing something right, that you're actually being initiated into something so much greater. It's a beautiful journey to be on. Thank
And I
you.
actually wanted to close off with one more thing because we started talking about Kabbalah, and you mentioned through our conversation that the reason why you moved to LA is because it was hard to find that community here in Toronto. Has that
Mhm.
changed? Mhm.
So for the Kabbalah Center, they have one in Toronto.
Where is it in Toronto?
It's at Young and
Oh,
Lawrence.
okay.
Yes. So I do go there sometimes, but now my studies are mostly online, and like listening to podcasts and through my own research. And my dad is also a Kabbalah teacher for me. But in terms of community in the city in general, I feel like whether it's Kabbalah, whether it is um, other spiritual modalities,
Mhm.
there's so much more openness now to
Yes.
these concepts. So I think that no matter what, whether you call it Kabbalah or something else, they're fundamentally all so similar. You could find truth in so many
Yeah.
different avenues because there is one truth, and then there's different expressions of that truth that we all connect with
Yeah.
different verbiage. But ultimately, if it's true, they all lead to the same place. And it's kind of like, I like to see it as like little breadcrumbs that
Yeah.
life gives us to find the right answer.
Yeah.
And we're all going to connect with that differently. But I think because everyone's so open now, it is a lot easier to find your people now.
Yes.
People are open to having these deeper
Yeah.
conversations and understand that it's not just about the surface level.
Thank you so much, Raquel. This was such a beautiful conversation.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. And thank you so much for hosting this podcast as well and for having me. It's actually my second podcast that I've ever recorded. Definitely a new journey for me as well. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay!